Everyone eats out, but people often miss how the food arrives on their plate. Every meal has a story of growers, suppliers, founders, and operators making it all happen. Welcome to Grounded. I'm Lauren Mitchell, and each week I will bring you conversations with the amazing people behind the brands you know and the ones you'll want to know. Grounded is powered by the Buyer's Edge platform, the leading food service digital procurement network, powered by data, software, and collaborative relationships. Let's get grounded. Today's guest is a very exciting one. Also a podcast host, so he definitely knows what he's talking about and has experience talking to so many experts in the industry. I couldn't wait to have him on. He's been honored among the Signal newspaper's top 51 Next Generation Hospitality Award winners. He's been top 25 fast casual executive by fastcasual.com and a speaker at events like the Fast Casual Executive Summit and most recently the 2025 NRA show. Host of the Pineapple Perspective podcast and the CEO of Hot Palate America, co-CEO of Pepper Lunch Worldwide. Troy Huber, welcome to the show.
You know, I try to stay out of trouble by staying busy, so I guess I have a few titles, but thank you. You're welcome to introduce me on stages anywhere we go. Glad to be here.
Well, a couple of things stood out to me. One, recently you were a panelist at the 2025 NRA show. We'll get into some questions about that. But again, you're with a fast casual growing brand right now, focused on North America, but you have your hands international too. And that's a lot of what people are working on. So very excited for this conversation. Why don't we start with where you're at right now? You brought years of experience to Pepper Lunch. Can you tell us what drew you to the brand in the first place?
Yeah, when Pepper Lunch reached out and was looking for help in both establishing and growing the North American footprint, and exporting a lot of our systems and processes to sort of remodernize and globalize the brand and expand globally. I saw what I thought was important for me to be able to acknowledge that multi-unit franchisees that we were going to be trying to attract would also need to see, and Pepper Lunch had it in spades. And it's a handful of differentiating value propositions, but look, it's a 30-year-old brand. At the time that I joined, we had 369 restaurants. Today in about 14 countries. Today we have 543 restaurants in 17 countries. We have commitments in 2 more. We're exploring in the expansion to 3 to 5 more countries. So definitely cresting the 20 country mark in multiple continents here soon. I saw a lot of things: experiential, fast casual dining journey for the customer, super simplified operations for the operator, a low, no skilled labor model for the operator, total labor count, total head count per shift is very low by comparison to QSR and fast casuals, particularly in America. And there was, just a real attention to quality and authenticity. The brand was founded in Japan. 80% of the menu is Japanese. We sort of allow an involvement of the brand, about 20% of the menu per country. So you'll see a little bit of variations in each country but again, still Asian and authentic to the cuisine type. And their real dedication to quality and oversight of the brand and maintenance of the brand's values. All this came together to say, hey, there's something here. Not only do I think it's marketable in the US, but I think there's a big opportunity to sort of globalize and remodernize and refresh and relaunch this brand. And that's exactly what we've done over the last about just over 2 years.
That's incredible. So 17 different countries, and in specific, you're the CEO for North America, over global. Can you just talk a little bit about the brand's approach to supply chain and procurement, because it's a global organization?
Yeah, we're really unique. Our parent private equity firm is mostly in the logistics, shipping, warehousing, and even some manufacturing businesses at a pretty high volume, big scale. And between that and them procuring my boss, Tago-san, Yuto Tago, who comes from establishing supply chains and global brand expansions, we have a tremendous global team and specialists in every area of supply chain. What's really unusual is that we've actually established and created our own procurement company and within Hot Palate. And we have specialists who work every day to procure our products at the source, procure our products from multiple redundant vendors. So we have security of supply chain, we have leverage and aren't sort of held hostage by single, specialty suppliers. And we do that not just for control over the quality of the ingredients, the consistency of the ingredients or products, smallwares, equipment, etc., but also to leverage our global brand volume. We've gone from 369 stores to 543 in 2.5 years. We plan to be over 1,000 stores inside the next 4.5 years, and we'll probably be 1,500 stores in the next 7 or 8 years. And so we really want to leverage that to the benefit of our franchisees. And most of our franchisees are pretty large. So they have buying power, but collectively, a 98 unit franchisee compared to all 543 stores, we're really in a position to leverage that volume for the best results, and to get the best in class suppliers too. So all that coming together, it's really unusual for a brand to be that of our size, to be that intensely in control or directly managing the supply chain. But I've been speaking on it. It's what I spoke on at NRA. I had a keynote and I did the whole thing on supply chain because I wanted small and medium emerging brands to understand that they have a lot more leverage and a lot more say in their process and their procurement and their vendors that they choose. And that there's a lot of opportunity, not just to improve margin, but honestly improve the quality of your ingredients. Why not keep your pricing the same, but go up a tier or two and differentiate your product over your competitor even more so than you might think you already have. So some different tactics like that I think are available to folks at a lot smaller stage than I think they realize.
Wow, that very unique system and setup. That is very impressive. How you guys have been able to leverage, total global volume like that. How do you make a decision on where to source ingredients, local versus national or international? Do you guys find that you have certain ingredients that, regardless of the location, are able to come from the same source? And when and in which area do you decide to try and localize?
Yeah, look, the brand has always bought all of its beef from National Beef in Chicago, Illinois. So that's on a global scale. But yes, even to my surprise when I joined the company, we are maniacal. I mean, absolutely nuts about the specificity of the source and quality of every single ingredient. Not exaggerating. You would not believe how much attention we pay to corn, and that all of our corn worldwide comes from Thailand, and that our black pepper comes from Thailand, and that our rice has to come from specific region, a specific type of rice. It is that intense. And so those are items that you could source more regionally or locally, truly. But again, brand continuity. When you eat it in Japan, when you eat in Singapore, when you eat in Thailand, when you eat in the United States, when you eat in Canada or Guam, now soon to be Hawaii or other places, we want you to have as close to the exact experience as you would from day one, store one, Tokyo, Japan. So that's really the North Star for us, is not only quality and consistency, but overall consistency of the brand presentation. And it works. I'm telling you that everywhere I go throughout America, US, and even abroad, when I talk to people who are fans of Pepper Lunch, they really appreciate, they understand, they acknowledge the continuity and consistency of our brand and our product. Everywhere they go, it's the same. It truly is very small variances. Now, further to your question, there are definitely things we get local. I mean, the reality is we get chicken local. We get fish regional, I would say, for the most part. We get vegetables, whether it's spring onion, or chives as we may call them in the US, onion, mushroom, carrot, peas, things like that, green beans. We get those very much in the regional or localized basis. But there are some things that you cannot. And we learned this, or I learned this particularly when we started looking at sourcing our co-packing for sauces. So we actually manufacture all of our sauces between Thailand and Japan, 2 in Thailand, 4 in Japan. The same manufacturers, the same co-packers, sauce makers, exist in Japan and Thailand as they do in the US. They have US side operations here in Los Angeles and one in Phoenix. But the problem is the exact source material, the raw product for many of the ingredients are not available. And so to bring in a pallet of one particular type of garlic from Vietnam to make our garlic soy sauce, what we call our sweet brown sauce, is not reasonable. The cost to bring the raw product and then produce it, it's easier just to produce it there and ship the final product. And so we learned that, and we did a lot of tastings, over a year of tastings with the same manufacturer, same co-packer, same saucer in the US as in Japan, and they could not replicate the flavors with alternative raw material. So we have to import that because we want the same sauce, we want the authentic flavor, we want those core raw ingredients that we're known for 31 years now. And so that's a sacrifice, but also a benefit, right? We can have that exact same sauce in every store, all 543 stores and growing everywhere, and it'd be exactly the same thing from the same source. Now, that being said, there are a couple of sauces that they are able to replicate, and we do too. The Korean gongchan and teriyaki sauce are made here in Los Angeles for the U.S. and North American market, and really our expansion through the Western Hemisphere will be supported from here. So there's 2 sauces we're not shipping, but 4 out of the 6 still come from Asia.
Wow. I imagine, yeah, as you move along the way and start to learn efficiencies and introduction to new suppliers by virtue of just some of your new geographies and a better way of doing it that can support, the other unit. Very interesting. As you talked about the sauces, I want to kind of back out for those that have not been into a pepper lunch yet. It's experiential dining. Talk to us about what one can expect. I know it's sizzling plates, as you mentioned, for a store in Tokyo, Japan. So I'm kind of imagining a hibachi, but I guess, I want to hear it from perspective.
Yep. So let's educate quickly on the difference between hibachi and teppanyaki. Teppanyaki is what you think of when you think of Benihana or that neighborhood flat grill chef experience that you're getting the flame in the show and the shrimp flying all over the room. Hibachi is actually a little tabletop coal grill. It's interchangeably, terminology is interchangeably used incorrectly in the US. That's okay. But we are teppanyaki for one. We are Japanese hot plate concept. It's do-it-yourself teppanyaki. We're going to superheat a proprietary iron plate to 500 degrees Fahrenheit, 270 degrees Celsius. And we're going to assemble a layering of raw ingredients, protein, rice, and vegetables, and spices, right? So you're going to get beef, rice, corn, chives, black pepper, and salt for our beef pepper rice. And that's the core dish we were founded on. And the pepper rice category is our primary category among 6 core categories of menu. But you're going to come in and order on a kiosk, sit down, and in 5 minutes or less, we're going to bring you a sizzling hot plate of raw ingredients. If it's chicken, it's pre-cooked. But we've got shrimp and salmon, beef on, sliced beef and steaks and cube steaks, and of course, 2 different types of chicken products. So we're going to bring you this, and you're going to sizzle and stir it your own way. We say everybody in our guests are their own master chefs. You're going to cook it and sizzle it your own way at your table on this plate. And you have 6 sauces to choose from. You can add things, just like if you go to a ramen shop, you can add egg and broccoli or garlic chips or mushrooms or onions to your dish to really curate your meal the way you want to enjoy it. But it's an affordable, fast dining experience. You're going to get in and out in under 25 minutes for around $25 on average. And you're going to have a satiating, hot meal, very high quality ingredients, really tasty flavor profile. You're going to be happy and you're going to feel good an hour later because we don't do anything to the ingredients. We're just adding salt and pepper, garlic, soy sauce, simple ingredients that are not full of stuff, that you don't want. And so you're going to feel good and enjoy it. And by the way, we say it's very craveable. I don't know anybody I've introduced this brand to for the first time that within 2 or 3 days doesn't text, email, or call me and say, Troy, I'm going back. I have to go back. When can I go back? I got to grab my friends. I got to grab my family. I'm bringing them. It just, the flavor sits on the back of your palate, poking away at your brain going, I want more of that. So highly craveable meal. Really fun with the sizzling. You get 4 or 5, 6 people sit at a table. Everybody's got their own sizzling plate of their own creation. And everybody's comparing, and it's very beautiful. The food's very vibrant and beautiful, so it's very Instagrammable. Quite an exceptional dining experience for around $25 and in and out in under 30 minutes.
There you go. You did that perfectly.
And you're hungry now, right?
Not exactly. Okay, but it brings a couple questions because again, you want to scale efficiently. That's what you're the master at. That's what you've been put in position here at Pepper Lunch for North America. As you're describing this, I'm picturing in-room dining only. Do you guys deliver? How have you figured that out? Is that something that you're going to go on? If not,
Yeah, it's one of the first questions. So we traditionally have not done it super well. In the United States, it's about a 10% mix of our total sales off premises. That's in-store takeout and, of course, online ordering and delivery by third party or self pickup by the guest. That's changing, but globally over the last 2 or 3 years, it's actually expanded in Asia and elsewhere as well. We are seeing an uptick of our food being ordered to go or for delivery pretty significantly. When I joined the company, it was about 10 to 14% mix globally. Now we're into the high teens, low 20s. Some stores doing 24% sales. I can tell you our new store in Irvine Spectrum, Irvine, California, in Orange County,
yeah.
is getting up to about 28% of sales, about 100 orders a day being taken out. So that's sort of the landscape. The reason is, yes, it's experiential. It's a hot plate concept. To go, it's a workflow challenge for us because we have to take your lengthy instructions of how you want your meal prepared, what's and volumes of things, and then we have to do it on the hot plate for you. Normally I can make 8 plates every 3 minutes in my restaurant. It takes about 3 minutes to do one plate to go because we're having to step that aside. So in our new prototype that we've just started rolling out, we actually created a third-party make line or an off-premise make line that's separated,
Um.
yeah, from the on-premise make line. We are in R&D with some specific semi-automated, automated technologies to help with that. They're called rotating kettle walks or robot walks, kind of a thing. They're these rotating kettle drums that you can put one or more meals into. It'll do the process of cooking and stirring for you, and then dispensing into a bowl. So we are in R&D working with a couple of those machines, but at least in the short term, we're in the middle of wrapping up a almost 2-year R&D project around performance packaging, sustainable and environmental and compostable packaging, our bagging system, everything to really optimize the off-premise, keep our food in better condition. Today, we're using really off-the-shelf standard, brown paper products or plastic products. And so we're in the middle of making that transition. We're going to make a big announcement towards the end of this year around a dedication to sustainability on a global scale, a dedication to compostability of our to-go packaging and our sourcing, as well as the performance of these packaging. We've really worked hard on the technology to make sure that our hot plate food gets to you 20 to 30 minutes from now, still steaming hot, not oversaturated with steamed water dripping on itself. It's a remarkable technology innovation that we've been able to source and customize to our brand. As a matter of fact, we, as of today, will be the first restaurant in the world to use this emerging technology. Others are right behind us, I've been told, but it's a process, right? You got to test and source and learn and iterate and reshape and understand the technologies and the variable opportunities you have, and then obviously, where's it coming from? How's it getting there? How much do you have to buy? What are you paying? Right now we're in a position we're going to be paying 2.5 times what we pay for sort of commodity product for this particular piece that's going to be transformational for us and transformational for our customer. So all that to say, we have intentionally not promoted off-premise sales or
Yeah.
to-go sales until we were ready to really A, manage the volume of it, and B, get you, the consumer, a much better product in a way that we can be very proud of when it comes to environmental responsibility and sustainability and compostability. Lastly, technology is a piece of that, and that we have implemented. We've changed our point of sale system. It integrates with our online aggregator. We're launching a native app that integrates with that aggregator. So all digital sales globally will go into one system. That system will dispense those orders to the point of sale, inclusive of the Boxy locker system we've implemented. That's going super well. So if you're a customer or delivery driver, you come into our store, you don't have to wait in line. You don't have to find an employee. You don't have to go to a separate shelf over in the corner and scan through names on bags or receipts, etc. You just go to a locker bank, and in that locker bank, it says the name of the customer and the order number, and you just scan the QR code we send you, and the locker opens and you get that order instantly. It's very seamless. And so that integrated process of technology is already in place. So we've laid the foundation of the mechanics, and now we just need to implement all of the pieces that stack on top of that to give the consumer and third party driver a really good experience, and give our in-store consumer an elevated experience without the disruption of that workflow getting in the way of their timing of food to their table, or people getting in the way of figuring out, how do I get my to go and get out of here as quickly as possible.
Wow. Yeah. Portability of product has caused so many brands to truly upend some of their supply chains, even just the ingredient mix going down to the just taking a French fry for a user, going from fresh to frozen, just based again on the portability. But packaging you mentioned too is a major part of that. As you're talking, it's actually blowing my mind. I mean, you guys have built such an impressive roots to your brand. I mean, you've got a beautiful Japanese concept, but I wonder if you wind up having tentacles in other, going Mexican too, using the same procurement and tech stacks that you guys have supporting Pepper Lunch. Have you guys thought about expanding into other iterations, or is that down the line?
We are Japanese founded, Japanese owned, officially Japanese run. My boss is from Japan. No, so great idea. Could you use this entire workflow and technology system? And again, our cooking technology is proprietary. Our delivery method technology is proprietary and patented by us. You could do other things with it, other genres. And I'll say this: I put a hard line. We are a Japanese concept with wide Asian roots. The very year that we were founded, we franchised outside of Japan. We had a fantastic master franchisee who opened and operated Asia for us for 27 years. We bought them 1 month from the day I started. We purchased our largest and first master franchisee, reacquiring the rest of the global infrastructure back to the brand. Now, that being said, when I said earlier is that about 20% of the menu is localized, but it's localized to that country in regards to, if we're in the Philippines, you're getting our core menu, and about 20% of that menu is still Asian food or Asian flavor profiles, but it's Filipino, right? Which actually has Spanish inspired roots really deep. And so a lot more gravies and sauces, a lot more cheese application on those dishes, right? But if you go to Vietnam, it's going to be a very different seafood forward type environment, right? In the United States, it's steaks. When I got here, we had 5 steaks in a category. We now have 3 because there was redundancy of pricing and portion and type of steak. So now we're giving you 3 distinct steak products. And then lo and behold, our first LTO is going to be, and this is the first time I've said it in publicly, it's coming out next week. Our first LTO in the United States is surf and turf, right? We're taking our New York steak half portion and then 3 large panko prawns or panko shrimp, fried shrimp, and we're putting that on a plate with our vegetables, and it's a surf and turf dish. But, in the United States, quote, steak and potatoes, steak and veggie, right? And so we've expanded that. In Asia, that doesn't exist. We have 1 steak product and usually 1 steak LTO going or promotion going in Asia. Really don't go deep on that category necessarily because of the cost and portions.
Yeah.
In Asia, they don't eat 13, 14, 16 ounce steaks generally. So a little bit of localization there. We'll continue to do that, really respecting the global footprint and the inspiration that all these countries. But look, we're in every Asian country in the world, so we have a lot of Asian cuisines we can continue to play with and iterate on and introduce across all of the other countries. So
Yeah.
a lot of runway for that.
So that kind of, I mean, a little bit of a segue to the next question, kind of different though. So because you guys are in so many different places around the world, and you actually mentioned Irvine Spectrum for the US. I'm from Orange County, so very familiar. That's an awesome location for you guys. But what are some of the learnings or differences that you're finding in the US in terms of footprints and where you guys are successful, mall versus, I'm not sure if you've even hit airports yet. And then over in this country, it's looking more like this. Talk to us about what it's looking like in terms of location and country to country.
Yeah, the reality is in Asia, about 80% of our stores are food court, food hall model kiosks, right? As small as 209 square feet with 3 people doing 700 plates a day and more. That's in Hong Kong, that's in Singapore. In Japan, we have a bit more of a mix. We have a lot of what you call brick and mortar or ground floor, street level restaurants because we've been there so long and we've been so established. In both of those, we have what you might consider traditional inline. They might appear inside of a mall, what we would call a restaurant type model, or first full model restaurant, full format, large seating area, full counter area, etc. So it's quite the mix, and we're really adaptable. We're really flexible. In the U.S., we've definitely established ourselves as the inline 17 to 1900 square foot shoebox shape, typical brick and mortar. We don't need end caps. We don't need drive-throughs. We love having patios if they're available, but not necessary. And really for us, it's about co-tenancy, being around the right brands that bring similar type customers to discover and explore and have trial of our brand. So in the US, we absolutely already opened our first non-traditional in Salt Lake City, Utah, inside of a food hall at a big lifestyle center, not unlike Irvine Spectrum in a way. And then Irvine Spectrum is a unique application. It's only 1,450 square feet, has a large dedicated covered patio, though, that gave us expansion of seating. So a little unusual, and that store is going to do $3 million this year. So, in 1,500 square feet or less, we're able to produce, $3 million in gross sales, pretty high volume environment. So we're very adaptable. We are excited about non-traditional. We've actually started engaging with some airport operators, some experienced multi-airport vendors. There is an opportunity there, although our delivery model sort of requires us to have what I would call a corralled dining area or a dedicated dining area, not to the brand, but more food hall style, right? Food court style. Whereas, in an airport, you could be walking down the terminal and just have sort of a kiosk, grab food and go. We're really not a grab and go concept in that way, but you absolutely could come to an airport food hall with 4 or 5 vendors in a dedicated area with shared seating. And Pepper Lunch can definitely be one of the quality vendor partners that can deliver a great experience very quickly at a good value and have really happy customers. So we're excited about that. The traditional mall model in the United States is not the most attractive generally. Are there 20 to 30 malls in America that would absolutely bring the type of customer and the type of volume we need? Sure, absolutely. We are engaging with several of those already. But unlike in Asia, where that's the primary vehicle, most of our stores are in that model format. In the US, it's sort of flipped the other way. It's probably going to be definitely 80+% brick and mortar inline versus those kiosk or non-traditional model opportunities.
All right, let's get into the franchise model a little bit for North America specifically. So talk to us about what you believe is most important to scale successfully and perhaps how you've specifically organized it for Pepper Lunch to see it grown as it already has so far.
I'll try and fly through these. Mindset of the franchisor and the franchisee. There has to be a partnership mindset. The franchisor, like us, have to believe that their job is not collecting money from a franchisee, but providing services and intelligence and innovation and value to the franchisee so they have a successful business, because their success is our success as the franchisor. So mindset. The franchisee has to have the mindset that, look, these guys own 133 corporate stores. They've been doing it for 31 years. They're constantly evaluating themselves and iterating on their brand and their presentation and their service model and their technology. And so I need to trust in them and let them lead me to my highest success. So mindset's number one. Absolutely number two is supply chain. There's no doubt that you have to have secured, redundant, reliable, consistent supply chain. Your vendors have to deliver on the promise consistently. The product that you've spec'd, the way you've spec'd it, when it's been promised, how it's been promised. So that takes up a lot of effort on the franchisor side. And it takes a lot of partnership with the franchisee to keep us informed, let us know where there's issues, tell us where there's opportunities to improve, and we consistently work on that. That's a really big piece of it. For us, supply chain goes further. We have our own global QA/QC team. So to stand up a new vendor for us takes us 5 to 6 months. We're going to do first-party inspection and specification dedicated requirements. We're also going to use third-party health and safety inspection and quality testing along the way. And so most brands at our size don't necessarily have that. Certainly brands sub 500 don't have that. And we have that on a global scale. So a dedicated team that specializes in that is unique for us. So we take supply chain really seriously. And then it goes into real estate and obviously all the other pieces that run the business like technology. Training, I would say, is our third biggest piece. We are really maniacal about training. The length and type and depth and repetitiveness of training, the specificity of every single step in our process and how we produce and create our food and how we present it, how hospitality we provide. We're really an elevated fast casual. We're giving service sometimes better than full service. We're definitely giving food very often better than the full service models that compete against us in this genre. So we're really proud of that. And I would think we over index on value because of it.
So those are excellent pieces of your components to your success and how you're scaling effectively. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about challenges now. I want to hear about risks and challenges. So if you had to pick the biggest or a large challenge that you're facing either in your business or your position right now, what would you say it is and how are you tackling it?
Yeah, I will tie supply chain back to it because it exists. Real estate is still the biggest challenge across the ecosystem, not just for our brand, for many brands in the US and beyond. We all want to be in tier one class A, best market, and best street, best address of the best street of the best market and the best place. And so there's a lot of competition, especially in our footprint environment, 17 to 1900 square feet. Everybody wants an 1800 square foot inline store. And we all want to be next to Kava, Sweet Green, Chipotle, and the like, Shake Shack even, because we're all trying to capture that premium consumer, right? So real estate's the biggest challenge. It is the hindrance of timeline, right? It is the thing that causes us to not grow as fast as we could. Second and important certainly is maintaining and continuity of supply chain. Now we have a leg up above most, having our own procurement and supply chain company and specialists, having leadership with lots of experience both in the US and back in Asia, standing up and growing brands nationally and internationally. So we have a lot of experience. We have a lot of relationships to leverage. You cannot discount having long-term viable, really high value relationships with these partners. It goes a long way. It gets a lot of things done for you. Challenges in that area currently, if it doesn't change really soon, the tariffs are a problem. They're a big problem. They have gone from 10 to 46% in against Japan. They've kicked this down to August 9th now. Supposedly August 9th will be the deadline, the fast and finish. There's no transparency or insight into how negotiations or changes that might be made are coming. And we don't have a choice on quite a few items. There are some things we could pivot and have made here, like smallwares, probably uniforms. But the reality is the cost to the end user, which is our franchisee, may not be better. It may be that the advantages we were getting from sourcing centrally in Asia and shipping all over the world, those advantages might evaporate. But the cost to get it here and delivered to our franchisee might be the same or still less than if we produce it in the US. So the effect of the administration's hopes that we'll onshore the production and sourcing of these materials is still dead in the water. It's still not likely to change our behavior. It's just going to cost everybody more. And if it costs our franchisee, us more to get it to our franchisee and our franchisee more to use it or distribute it, they're going to have to do something to make up the difference because it's a pretty significant number. So I'm really hopeful that this whole thing is going to sort of find a solution and it's going to be amenable and amendable. And look, if it's 10 or 15%, we can swallow that, but you cannot swallow 30, 46, 60% tariffs without it affecting all the way through the chain to the end user, which is a problem because the end user in the United States is really stressed out when it comes to and maxed out when it comes to food away from home, particularly. So that's our biggest challenge today. And really, there's not a lot we can do it except for be ready to pivot and make some important decisions and do our best to leverage the end result of the price and then make, help our franchisees make decisions about how they manage those challenges that they're, faced with.
I thought tariffs might come up in your answer. I can certainly agree with the real estate as well, especially with high growth brands. You're kind of at the beck and call of what's available and ensuring it's where you want to be. But yeah, I mean, being a global procurement or a global based brand, tariffs and just the lack of information and understanding and having to pivot so quickly, it kind of brings us back to COVID in a sense. where, a lot of people in our industry are just leaning on one another in relationships to kind of, understand what you know and how quick you can know it and what you're basing it off of and kind of just putting a temperature thermometer out there for other risks to pop up behind it. So I thought you might bring that up.
Yeah, it's not fun. It's not fun, and I hope it's gonna take care of itself. But it did in the first Trump administration. It was more so with China and a lot more around our exports than our imports. Certainly, this is more ubiquitous. This is everything coming on shore, regardless of its sourcing. And like I said earlier in our conversation, there are simply just things that we cannot compromise on from a raw product availability or quality control mechanism. But give an example of a brand that wants to have a high presentation. Our uniforms are beautiful and their performance, they're breathable, etc. And they land in Japan at $11 a unit, a shirt or an apron, etc. They land at $11 in Japan. By the time we get them shipped here pre-tariff, they were landing at $24. Now it's $36. And so,
Wow.
by the time I get it and ship it to my franchisee, you're talking about a smock or a shirt landing in the $40 per shirt range when they were getting it for 20 some dollars. And it's a very specific custom made shirt. So what happens? We'll go to polos or t-shirts and our brand presentation will not match our brand ethos. We will not be able to express ourselves in that most authentic, branded, beautiful performance material that will set us apart. We'll just be another black t-shirt with a logo on it, that we can get here in the US. And that's just not what we want to be. And by the way, we want continuity around the world. We want you to walk into a pepper lunch in Japan and a pepper lunch in California and have the same visual and physical and taste experience. And this is getting in the way of that, certainly, of our business model.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Before we wrap up, I want to go into industry trends and insights with you. I think you're going to be an awesome person for some of these questions. So, want to start with innovation. Where do you see the biggest opportunity for innovation in restaurant supply chain specifically over the next 3-5 years?
Yeah, it's gonna make people roll their eyes, but it's AI. There are quite a number of startups and I'd say early maturity 2 to 3 year old companies that have been working on AI and adapting and evolving with the fast pace of AI development over the last couple of years. But there is a lot of opportunity around procurement and inventory control, and I would say just generally data insights, access to information, understanding everything from supply chain sourcing, cost of material, transportation, holding costs, pick pack size, volume of shipment, number of shipments, volume per shipment, inventory holding costs at your store. I just think there's a lot more integration coming, and I think AI is really going to start to tell you things you didn't even know to ask. I think not knowing what you don't know is where a lot of money gets lost in your margins. And so even if you start to learn or start to focus on your supply chain and your costing scheme, if you don't know where to look or how to answer the question or how to understand why things are changing, where did that number come from and why is it different? I think AI is going to be very informative and enlightening when you're able to connect these systems to your overall database between sales, labor, inventory, procurement and pricing, invoicing, accuracy, and things like this. I think we're going to start to see consolidation in that technology stack. And I think that's going to allow for a lot more insights and actionable intelligence that people are going to be able to utilize to, not only improve margins, but improve process, spend a lot less time managing these things.
Right.
God forbid it may eliminate roles eventually around supply chain and procurement at the brand level or consolidate some of that. But I think that's what's coming. The foundations are there. We're seeing the beginnings of it. We're seeing these companies offering a variety of tools and services. And so it's going to be about being able to leverage that, having that data and understanding how to get at it and how to use it. So, maybe still a little bit ways down the road. The bigger brands are definitely ahead on investing in this area, but you're going to see smaller and smaller brands and operators being able to have access. It's sort of democratizing access to that data and insights that are going to allow them to, just be a better business overall.
How about any trends in the food service industry that are particularly capturing your attention? And by the way, I agree with you on AI completely.
Yeah. Look, I think we're starting to see more adoption, particularly around the labor challenge. Is just enough's enough. We've suffered, quote, since COVID. Kiosks are working, and look, I waited years. I've been studying the kiosk implementation strategy, the UX UI strategy, the menu mix strategy, the variations of simplification and presentation of how you walk people through your menu. Kiosks have been done really well and they've been done really poorly. And they've been implemented well and utilized well, and they've conversely not gone well for a lot of brands. We got really lucky being very thoughtful. We really didn't know what the upside or what the changes would be. We theorized, we guessed, but you don't know until the consumer tells you. We implemented kiosks starting in January and February of this year. By April, we had full adoption of kiosks in the existing stores, minus a couple that we're still working on the full tech stack implementation. But in the stores where we have kiosks, we saw some remarkable transformations. Now, I'll caveat that. We eliminated the cashier role. There is no cross-the-counter transaction with a human being. What we did was created a new role called a hospitality host, is our name for it. Most people would think of it as a greeter and brand ambassador in one. We greet
Yeah.
you. We line, bust, and segregate those who've been here before and new customers between two different kiosks. We offer upsell and encouragement of exploration by the existing customer base. And then new customers, we do a really good job of explaining who we are, and what they're going to find. And in beginning the demonstration purpose of ordering on the kiosk and then letting them finish that and having a true self-exploratory journey. But I will say the following results are undeniable. Since January, here we are in July, our sales at stores with kiosks, average average plate has gone up $1.70, and average basket has gone up between $5.50 and $5.70. Irvine Spectrum is a little bit above everybody, but the rest as a blended, it's about $5.68, $5.65 more in the last 5 months, and it was instantaneous. It was overnight. So do I think the kiosks are doing that by themselves? No, I think they're representing about 80% of that lift. And I think 20 to 25% of that lift is that hospitality host interaction. And here's how I know it. We did a lot of consumer research. We did a lot of brand listening. We did a lot of deployment of technology to collect data from social media, reviews, online message boards, et cetera, over the last couple of years. It has always been the same sentiment. People talk about our food quality. They talk about our sizzling experience. They talk about the gathering experience and Instagram ability of the brand. They talk about hot food. They talk about portion, right? All the good things about our experience they talk about until this kiosk implementation. And we just sort of did a pressure test or temperature check about a month ago, and we found a complete shift in our consumer sentiment and word mapping of what they say about us online and to us directly. They no longer, food was not even in the food in the word mapping. The number one word was friendliness. The second word was hospitality. The third word was service. So they're talking about now human experience, not just the food or product or transactional experience. The sentiment complete. Nobody is talking about our food, which, okay, I want to get a little bit back into the talk, but they're talking about service and hospitality, friendliness, that they were surprised that they got some table side attention, that we did refills of their beverages from the table, right? So that is an amazing thing. Why? Because we just said that we took the human, quote, quote, ordering experience away. We made it a digital interface, computerized interface for ordering at our brand. And yet we're more friendly and we're more service oriented. We're more hospitable. How is that? Well, the hospitality host, I think, being out front and not behind the counter, being side by side to the guest, welcoming you, giving you comfort, being available if you have questions. You don't have to flag them down. Also giving you the freedom to take your time and explore the menu and go through a curated discovery of ordering with us. And by the way, Most of the basket lift, most of the ticket lift for us is in sides and drinks. They're just getting more with their meal because they're able to discover and take their time and explore more in the menu rather than be pressured with a line behind them talking to one human and trying to get through that process. So it's been a really exciting journey. And I would encourage my counterparts to seriously consider not the fact that it's just a technology and a kiosk, but how you're going to deliver the consumer experience. And it can be done with hospitality and service and a smile and connectivity. And I would argue our brand is much better understood and our customer is really enjoying the time with us because of that human element that we adapted into that position.
That is blowing my mind. I think you hit it right on the head. I think so many people are concerned about making technology updates. And I, as a mother, I mean, I've gone into places where they have a kiosk or a cashier, and I do opt for a cashier. Sometimes that feels quicker just to be able to communicate exactly what you want. But to have that feedback based on the experience with the overlay of a hospitality host or greeter really coming in and on top of that experience to ensure gaps are filled and everyone it's more directed. I think that is so cool, and I love how you went through that. Very, very interesting. And also just the research that you went through in terms of what the consumers want and their feedback. Have they influenced any other way of how you guys are operate? Has feedback from the field made any updates or changes to how you guys are going about as you grow? Again, just based on some of that research.
Hyperbolically, the answer is daily, but I wouldn't say that we make moves on a daily basis, but we listen and we pay attention absolutely daily. Yeah, look, when I got here, the first three pieces of technology I employed were brand listening, sentiment, and consumer insight, data intelligence gathering, and more importantly, consolidation and display of that information. What does the 17 to 22-year-old female coming with four friends look like compared to a family with young children, right? What does the professional, single professional with two colleagues coming at lunchtime look like versus when that same person comes on a Friday date night for a movie and a meal? And that is where we're going to now with this data intelligence gathering and insights. We're starting to have the ability to track folks across day parts and ordering methodologies. And so we want to know when Troy shows up to Pepper Lunch at these different times and these different mindsets, why is he choosing different price points? Why is he choosing different times of the day? Why is he choosing different meal options? And we really want to start to understand that. But at the very basic level, we wanted to start to gather this information. What do people say about us at the store and minute level? And what do they say to us in aggregate, both sort of demographic avatar and psychographic avatar too? How are they experiencing us and feeling when they talk about us? And so that's been paramount. And so what has it led to? It fully informed our menu revision on July 7th that we launched last year. So July 7th of 2024, we spent 18 months working on our menu, both in the US and globally, a lot of supply chain basis for that exercise. But the consumer position, the consumer demand, the consumer need, portions were changed, flavor profiles were enhanced more or less, a spice or ingredient level, quality of protein was changed to provide a higher value proposition. We just thought about every single piece of every single dish and every single process, and we were absolutely curating it to the feedback from the field, from the consumer. We are paying attention, we are listening, we are aggregating that, and we do it annually now. We are in the very beginning stages of revisiting to see what that 12-month evolution looked like. How did we affect? In short term, we saw huge lift. We took 9 menu items away. We added 4 menu items. Those 4 menu items outsold the 9 we took away 4 to 5x. So we did it. It worked. God, we're so excited. We had no idea that was going to be the result. So what is the evolution now a year later? What does that look like? Look, the consumer absolutely changes in a 12-month cycle, right? In 12 months, 10-year-olds become 11-year-olds and so on and so forth. Tweens become teens with credit cards, right? They didn't have them a year ago. So now they have a differentiated value proposition and buying power. So you really have to think about it down to that micro level in some cases. So we're zooming in, we're zooming out, and we are making decisions on a pretty regular basis, but At least on an annual basis, we're making menu related decisions. Quarterly, we're making LTO decisions. Kind of on a constant basis, we're starting to make marketing, messaging, marketing, imagery, marketing, IP collaboration decisions based on who our consumers are and what they want and what they resonate with. So it really starts to touch every piece of the business. It will ultimately and absolutely inform our real estate strategy, right? So as the consumer pivots in their behavior, we may have smaller stores with more lockers, more boxy locker boxes, and so on and so forth. So we really want to be close to our customer. We want to understand them, and we want to build a relationship, a one-to-one, really personalized relationship. So we're starting to develop technology and the ability to do that as well.
Listen to your guests at the bottom line there, right?
Absolutely.
What are they? Who are they? What are they ordering? And AI can definitely help with messaging towards each of those too. So just the way that you describe that. Okay, I mean, I can seriously talk to you for 2 hours, but I'm going to go into what I call the final mile, a little bit more of rapid fire questions at you. Thank you so much in advance for the time, Troy. You are a complete stud, and I cannot wait to I can't wait to air this episode.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, you would know. So while there, what has been your favorite part about being a podcast host?
Oh my gosh. I love to learn. I actually started the show because I'm just ultimately curious. And honestly, I wanted to get my mentors on a show and ask them these questions. I wanted to know how they were thinking about things. One, is it validating, confirming if you're already on the right track? Absolutely. Is it illuminating that, you're going down a way, but kind of watch out. These are some potholes or some hurdles we had to overcome. Fantastic. So I started it. So it's learning for me. It's an opportunity to get people on, even get my mentors and heroes, people that I have looked up to, and I hope to increase that sort of status or level of guest as we go through the evolution of maturing that podcast. But it's just a lot of fun, and I do it because I want to learn.
Agreed. All right. In your eyes, what does a good or great operator look like?
They're involved, right? They're in touch. They understand that the most important thing they do is take care of an employee. They hire great people and give them tools, resources, knowledge, and experience to do the best they can do in the role that they are in. To me, that's a great operator. If you take care of that, everything else falls in place.
The next generation, what is your recommendation that you're willing to share, specifically for those coming up into supply chain?
Ooh, supply chain. Globalization is real. Market shifts are out of your hands. Political dynamics will actually change the landscape of what's possible, and you will have to be flexible. And I would say AI. If you don't have a technological companion, you are not one human or even a team of humans cannot hold the knowledge base and move at the pace of the technologies that are becoming available to us. So you have to be a technologist first, in my opinion.
What is something that you learned early on in your life or career that's strangely relevant to what you're doing today?
It's always relevant. Seek first to understand, then be understood. It doesn't matter that I'm a global CEO. It doesn't matter that I have expert area knowledge in certain areas that I specialize in, or that that I have access to every resource and knowledge base and other CEO in the world to ask any. None of that matters if you don't have curiosity and you don't enter every problem with a question rather than an answer. You show up with your assumptions, you show up with your beliefs, you certainly can show up with a thesis or a hypothesis of what the solution might look like. But if you do not crowdsource and selectively and intentionally gather information from all of the stakeholders in that decision tree and all of the people who have done it better and bigger than you have before you, then really you're just guessing and you're wasting time, energy, and money. So it's better to take the time up front and be thoughtful, but simultaneously don't be paralyzed by analysis. So analysis by paralysis by analysis is a real problem. Don't overthink it, but definitely gather the information to make an educated decision because the impacts are deep and long-term.
Don't overthink it. All right. And then we're doing something a little unique on this show. I'm asking each guest to come up with a question to ask the next guest that they don't know who is going to be on. But for that guest, what is your question?
Tell us a time when deploying empathy could be measured in direct business results. And the context is culture does drive resilient, higher performing, higher returning businesses. And so empathy is the foundational tenet to building a strong, dedicated, loyal, resilient culture in your business. So take a moment and tell us how empathy resulted in measurable business results.
There are many listeners, I can bet you, that want to know where to get a hold of you, how they can connect with you. Where can we send them?
As my friend Sean Walchef has coined the phrase and several of us use regularly, I am weirdly available. You can find me everywhere by Googling Troy Hooper, Pepper Lunch, Troy Hooper Restaurants, but easiest to find and communicate with me on LinkedIn. Troy Hooper, Pepper Lunch Restaurants, Hot Palate America, all the above. I'm pretty darn easy to find on the internet. So always happy to have a great conversation with folks inside and outside the industry that are looking to gather details, information, insights, or experience. And always happy to share my thoughts and help folks out where they think they need it.
Thank you so much, Troy. You have been awesome.
Thank you. Great to be here.
This has been another exciting episode of Grounded. See you next time. That's a wrap on this episode of Grounded. We've covered a lot of ground as we explored what it really takes to run food service behind the scenes. For show notes, highlights, and our latest market insights, visit us at groundedonthepod.com. Grounded is powered by the Buyer's Edge platform, delivering smarter solutions, greater efficiency, and real savings through connected tech, powerful data, and industry expertise. For more information and to get a personal demo of the Buyer's Edge platform, email me at lauren.mitchell@producealliance.com. And if you liked what you heard, subscribe so you don't miss an episode.
Thank you for listening to The Pineapple Perspective. If you loved today's episode, leave a review and a 5-star rating. I look forward to welcoming you back next time.